truly, in my opinion, and see if you guys don't recognize what I've been saying. I say it differently than she does, but I've been saying this. This is what's going on in the world for at least 2 or 3 years. So have a listen to what this woman has to say. And then I'll tell you what the question is.
This is not what you think. Repetition compulsion is a term used in psychology when someone unconsciously repeats tragic events. We have the towers, COVID, and what happened to Charlie. But what do these threats have in common on a deeper subconscious level, little butter? 9/11 was about 24 years ago, and it took people many years before they were comfortable enough to say, I think that something's wrong with the narrative we've been told. COVID happened about 5 years ago, and it took humankind collectively about 1 to 2 years to feel safe enough to say, we don't know about this story. Now, the Charlie story happened this past year, September 10th, just one day before 9/11. There's a synchronicity there. And there's always synchronicities involved in repetition compulsion, by the way. Whether someone's planning it from behind the scenes or not, the universe works in synchronicity, which is why I'm working with the Fibonacci spiral right here. Now, the Charlie situation happened this year, and people are automatically questioning the story. Notice how the human mind moves faster in its ability to question authority every time it experiences a collective trauma. And if we're using the Fibonacci sequence as a sort of grid, notice how the numbers in the Fibonacci sequence get closer together through the spiraling pattern. Americans actually want to be sovereign right now. People want to be able to walk through the details and the evidence by themselves. And what I've learned in the study of repetition compulsion is when you truly learn the lesson that is underneath all of the physical outcomes of your reality, the lesson itself stops repeating itself. So the center of this Fibonacci pattern could be a doorway to freedom from such dark and tragic events. It could also be a doorway to suppression, where people are unable to think for themselves. So it's up to humanity as a whole to decide which direction we move in. Does this make sense to you, honey butter? And it's okay if it doesn't. I used to be a muggle too. But really, if it doesn't, that's okay. I understand it's a lot. And let me know if you think we're heading towards a doorway of liberation and awakening, or if we're walking towards a locked doorway of suppression. Bye, honey butter.
Awesome. I love that she said she used to be a muggle. Okay. I loved that word muggle when I first watched the Harry Potter movies. And of course I read the book first to my daughter. My daughter loved all the books, the Harry Potter books. She just ate them up. And when I first heard the word muggle, I was like, oh my goodness, that's what I've always known. There's muggles and magical people. So that was just the very first level of my awakening, really, to who I really was in comparison to maybe normies. Anyway, crazy. But what she's saying there is that we're quickening with the levels of how fast we get stuff. Okay. Now, did you notice that? So the Charlie Kirk thing took about a week and a half and people pretty much unraveled it. Okay. But this last one didn't even last out the day. So the Bondi Beach thing. And by the way, guys, all the people writing, you might be new to the channel saying, okay, this is how you say Bondi or Bondi. Okay, I really don't care if I'm saying words wrong, so don't talk about it in the comments. Honestly, you're wasting everybody's time, okay? Because I think saying words wrong, it maybe isn't wrong. I've been doing it my whole life, so I feel like I'm undoing spells. Okay, spelling and word usage are spell casts. Okay, so please don't waste everybody's time and your typing telling me to say words properly, okay? Because I find it personally offensive that you do that. So just don't do it, okay? Thank you. Anyway, so the spiral video, it absolutely captures what I've been saying, is that the White Hat Alliance have been putting out these psyops. And I've been describing it as, so something goes back here and it collects even in the normie's mind, and quicker people start figuring this stuff out quicker and quicker. And eventually even when they hear it and they think they're hearing it for the first time, that all of their world is a lie and none of history is true and etc., they would have already had that back here somewhere. It's collecting. I feel like it's the quickening, okay? And it's this repetition maybe that she's talking about, and this spiral energetically, how the timing goes and how they're putting these big psyops out there. Okay, and even though 9/11 wasn't a psyop in such that it actually did happen and people did die, a lot of them, okay, because a lot of psyops, people don't die, they just look like they do. Okay, but then there's false flags. Okay, I think we would put 9/11 in the false flag category, because it was blamed on somebody else, but it in fact was the own government at the time who were acting probably from some higher ups. They were puppeted from some higher ups, but it was within the US that was all created. Okay, and even if people came from somewhere else or puppeted them from somewhere else, it was still the US's own government at the time that actually did the thing. Anyway, so she's basically describing what I've been saying, and I want to know if how she presents it is actually what's happening, because I've been saying this for a long time, but I don't really remember literally doing a card reading on it or describing it in exactly the way she's. So there's a quickening happening, okay, is kind of what she's saying, the word quickening. And I love that word, by the way. It's so perfect for what's happening right now. And I'm wondering if, and what she put forward was, are we going to go to more repression? Or are we going and just know about it, which would be horrible. That would be like being in purgatory or being in hell here on the earth plane. Because at least when we didn't know, we were being completely lied to and fooled. At least when we didn't know, we could still live our life and think we were free. Now we know we're not free, and we're getting faster at figuring out when we're lied to. Okay, and that will be torturous if we don't go to more freedom. Okay, so let's look at, where do we go in that spiral? Are we going to more freedom, or are we going to be more repressed? Let's ask that, because she brought that up and I thought that was brilliant. It's a great little video to show people, by the way, because it says so much, but in a really subtle way, like just assuming you must already know that 9/11 was all a big false flag, and you must know that Charlie Kirk was a psyop. You know what I mean? She's assuming you must know that. And I think a lot of normies will respond well to that, because they'll kind of like, maybe it's back here somewhere, they know that. But they haven't just spoken it out yet. When somebody just tells it really matter of fact, like it's a truth, I think it's easier for people to get past the awkward discussing or trying to decide if it is or not. You already decided for them. Let's move forward with the conversation. That's a tactic I use in normie conversations, by the way. Okay, so here we've got the 2. So we're looking at, okay, I guess we still have some choices to make. Okay, we still have choices. Oh my goodness. Okay, I believe myself, when I heard that, when she said that, I know we're going to the good. I'm certainly going to create a freer life going forward. And I believe I already have, or in my feeling I do anyway. Okay, but this card layout looks like we're still fighting that, duking that out. Some people will. So I feel like some people won't escape maybe, and some people will escape. So there's still individual choices here, and some people will go forward with still being in the matrix, and others will have broken free out of it. So there's still individual choice there. Wow, fascinating. Okay, by the way, I shared that video on my socials if you're looking for it. Let's look at the Trump announcement. So we had lots of questions about, there's a big announcement tonight. He loves dangling these big announcements, and often they're kind of seem like they're not that, as exciting as he makes them look. But Ann van der what's her name again? Throw up that Anne video. Yeah, Vandersteel. Okay, Anne Vandersteel. I actually got a lot of respect for her. I don't know. What do you guys think of her? I actually met her and I thought she was I liked her energy. Okay, so I actually physically shook her hand, and there's even a picture somewhere of us two together. She was a little uncomfortable meeting me. I don't know. She probably doesn't like psychics or intuitives. I don't know for sure. Or she maybe felt like her audience would be offended by her having pictures with me in public, but she kind of got cornered into a picture with me, and it was at a truther I didn't corner her, somebody else took it, and it was at a truther conference. Anyway, so I'm not trying to say she likes me or anything or even knows who I am, but I am saying that I kind of respect her take on things. I've been keeping an eye on her and what she puts out. I feel like she's a good mega, I guess. I guess she'd be a mega. Okay, so let's have a listen to what she says about what's coming tonight.
Just had an incredible evening in Mar-a-Lago with America's Future. Absolutely love General Flynn, love his family, saw dear friends from back in the early podcasting days to the most recent days of the work I've been doing. And I'm just very grateful that we have an incredible group of people that still love our country, still see hope, and, we'll drop little tidbits like tune in to the president's speech tomorrow because something big is dropping right before. I don't know what. I wasn't given the inside details, but a little birdie said, make sure you pay attention to what's happening tomorrow. So folks, this is it. This is your message. Hope everybody has a great night.
She put that out last night. Okay, so that's pretty interesting and caught my eye. And also, I think Juano Savin, we won't play his because it's, long-winded and a lot of people get irritated by him. But he also put something out, and he signaled Colorado, which, by the way, is their electricity is off in Colorado, and they're saying it's due to large winds. So I don't know if what Trump ends up saying has something to do with Colorado. And it turns out they're actually shutting off their electricity before the high winds even get there. People are writing to me from Colorado and saying they shut off our electricity because of high winds and there's no wind. Okay, what's going on? And they're saying they might have it off for 3 days, which is absurd. Okay, usually they shut it off because poles went down during high winds. Okay, so what's going on? And then we got Juano Savin signaling watch Colorado. Anyway, so there's a lot of interesting things kind of hyping up for today, just before when Trump goes on live, and that's what Anne's saying. She says something's going to happen just before it, and then the speech itself, maybe it'll comment on whatever happens just before. So we're looking at what's going on today. Okay, it is the 17th, and I always pay attention when the date becomes the 17th. Okay, because of the Q, right? Because of Q. Okay, so we've got the Two of Cups there. Interesting. So people shaking hands in the background and capitulate. Sometimes there's capitulated. So we could have some theater go on with people that you think are bad guys or good guys, and in fact they're everybody's all in on whatever you see happening, even if it looks like a big fight between two people, like what was happening with Majorie Tyler Green. Am I saying her name right? Anyway, what was happening between Trump and her, and what happens between Trump and Elon Musk and everything. You see these fake fights, but really they all hang out together. Apparently, Candace Owens hangs out with Erica, and they all party and laugh together. So all the fake fighting going on between those two, that's probably it's all theater, you guys. These guys are actors, and they're probably all hired by the White Hat Alliance, and they're playing out parts. But anyway, so you're going to see something. The general population will think it's, be horrified by it somehow, or it's something fakes, like this looks fake. Something fake's coming where everybody is in on it. so something plays itself out, and it looks like it really shows the darks and mucky side of something. And of course, this could be the deep state card. So it could really show the deep state really clearly, or who your enemy is really clearly, to regular normies. Okay. And we're talking about what's happening today. And I feel like it might lead to some comments by Trump. So some comments. So it's just the beginning of a really big outing. And of course, we're heading to Friday the 19th. That's only days away, of course, 2 days away. And that's when supposedly the Epstein files are coming out. I wonder if it's some kind of nod towards Epstein information coming out or something. So something gets shown to the regular folks, and it's fairly horrifying, but it lets them in on some truths, and likely we already know this. Okay, so watch today how that goes down, because we're getting more truth and integrity given to the regular population. And it's something real murky, okay, because the devil can be about the cult activity, the satanic ritual abuse. I mean, they really outed that with that guy's death, that recent guy's death. What was his name? Bob Reiner, I think. Yeah. His death really outed. Some old video footage came of people laughing at how he was basically satanically ritually abused, then likely turned around and did that to his son, because that's what they do. And then, of course, then his son, supposedly in the public eye, it looks like anyway, that's also a false flag as far as I think not a false flag. I think that's a psyop. I think he was actually rounded up in Gitmo'd. Okay, but that's just my opinion. By the way, when you look at the fellow years, even 5 years ago and now, not the same guy for the last 5 or 6 years. So have a look at 6 years ago, this guy, and then now, different guy. Anyway, so we've got some more outing maybe, and maybe even some more people taking their own life or being supposedly unalived. That's a funny word, right? Supposedly killed in the public eye, but it outs and really lets you see their dark past somehow. Okay, so that's something that's been going on. The whole weekend was like that. Maybe we get more of that. Yeah, so keep an eye out. It's definitely something murky comes out, and the general population gets a big taste of it too, not just us. So keep our eyes open, and then it looks like Trump will nod at it and talk about it. Okay, a lot of this does show you that Trump's definitely part of the Q movement thingy. Like, he's definitely in on and knows about Q and stuff. Like anyone who still doubts that, I don't know. I don't think you're paying attention. Okay, so now let's look at the UK farmers. This person was wondering, are they starting a civil war? Are the UK farmers going to start a civil war? And are they, and the second part of their question was, are the white hats backing these guys? I believe the white hats whispered in the ear of some of those truckers and had the back of, say, for instance, Tamara Lynch, even if she didn't even know who had her back or who, kind of like maybe she doesn't know she was being handled, or maybe she does. I don't believe she ever really went to jail, but a lot of people disagree with me on that. I don't believe she was ever actually arrested. I think that was all theater, but that's just what the cards were saying. So, don't shoot the messenger, that sort of thing. But I believe maybe, and this person was suggesting in the question, maybe these farmers, because they're really doing brave things, maybe they're also backed by White Hat Alliance. And are they going to actually go all the way to starting a civil war? So both those questions, and we'll see what we get here. And you can hardly blame them for wanting to save their farming industry. It's absolutely like the way it's been attacked, and that's all over the world. It looks like they've been doing that all over the world for a really long time too. We're just really noticing it now, but I feel like that's probably been going on for a really long time, and they're just fed up. Okay, so this doesn't necessarily, like, we got some movie theater here, which could suggest it's backed up. I don't think it goes all the way to it ends before it gets, like, it could go right up against what looks like civil war, but I don't think it goes all the way to the civil war. I feel like from a background, not directly, it's not directly people hired to look like they're doing that. It's actual farmers fed up and they're doing it. But I feel like they have the backing, but it's from a distance of the White Hat Alliance. So the White Hat Alliance might take obstacles out of their way and protect them if they get themselves in trouble, but from a background, and they might not even be aware of this. Okay, so it feels like this is a natural occurring situation where the farmers just got fed up. It's not a big play, but it does feel like the fact that the Civil War part, that might get played up or talked about right up until all of a sudden it dissipates. Okay, so it goes right to the 11th hour on the Civil War, but it doesn't actually. So they'll maybe put out comments about that in posts on social medias and etc. And it'll look like it might be gearing up to that, but I don't think it actually does. But these guys don't look like they're literally read in with the White Hats, but the White Hats are from a background position, kind of got their backs here, is what I'm getting. Okay. Wow. Fascinating. Okay. Friday, December 19th. So big things that day as well. This is a crazy week, really, when you think about it. Friday the 19th. So 3i Atlas, apparently the closest to Earth that it will approach. That's the day it comes closest to Earth. So a lot of people predicting something might happen energetically. It might affect us energetically. Who knows? We might have visitation. It's still really far away from Earth. So that's a bit of a far reach. Okay. I feel like it's already having a big effect just energetically and just getting people talking about things, an alien based kind of thing and other extraterrestrial, that sort of thing, getting us all talking about it. That's kind of what I think it's really all about. But who knows, right? Maybe it'll actually literally reveal something to us about aliens. But on top of that, December 19th supposedly is the day that Epstein files get released. Okay, so it's like, really? Okay, all on that day. Okay, so let's have a look at what's going to happen on the 19th in the world. What do we need to know? What does the universe want to tell us about the 19th? Okay, let's see. Temperance healing card, interesting. Some surprises on that day with the Page of Cups. Page of Cups is some surprises. This is a positive surprise, and it feels more emotional. People could feel physically really well that day. There's a big healing energy. I don't know if that's coming from 3i Atlas or what, but the day itself, there's something really healing. Maybe it's astrological. Maybe it's 3i Atlas related. I have no idea, but it looks like there's good news financially. There's healing, emotional energy. It's a really powerful healing, even surprisingly good day for some people. A lot of people could feel really well, better than usual. There's a financial, some kind of breakthrough here. It's not huge, but good news in the financial something or other. Maybe silver takes a big jump again. Maybe it's already like really climbing up there. Maybe gold and silver, who knows, and or some of your favorite coins. I don't know, right? But finances look like maybe some good news on the financial markets and or in general financial system giving us some good news about money's somehow getting easier to attain down the road. That would be great. Okay. But near future. So I don't know about the Epstein files though. Yeah, I feel like some hold up there, maybe hold up, or you're too much redactions again. So the files get released, but it's all blacked out again or something. We're going to have to hold tight for the files or more direct literature or like information on the Epstein stuff will come, I feel like, but not maybe till August. Isn't that interesting? Or sometime in the summer, I'll say that. With that card, it's like a summer card. Okay. And setbacks and holdups around Epstein information. So maybe some of it'll come out, but I feel like some excuses made or some kind of setback around just how much information actually gets released. And people won't be happy about it. Wow. And it looks like it's because White Hat Alliance is actually feeling a big threat by the bad guys. Okay, so the bad guys will throw everything out there to stop those files from coming out on Friday. So if we do see a setback there, I feel like it's directly related to a big threat. And the threat was directly, like the threat looks like it's against humanity. And the White Hat Alliance either slows down or redacts a lot of those files just to have that thing not happen. So they still pull something out of their ass here and threaten. And the White Hat Alliance looks like they'll believe the threat. So that is, whoa, big interesting news there. So we'll have to watch that day. Maybe that gets cleared up before then, okay, which would be awesome. Now, my last question is really interesting. So there's something called the Great Northern Treasure Hunt, okay? And all we could find on it was a website you can go to. If anyone has posts that they've seen about this or people following it, what they're saying, there's a website you can go and look at. But to join in, I think you have to sort of officially get involved, to look further into this website. But what we were told was this is going across Canada, and there's many gold coins, I guess, to be found in the treasure hunt all across Canada. Okay. And that a lot of people are getting involved. So the person that asked me about this emailed me with details, and let's have a little look at the details they put in the community section. Let's have a little look. So here's the reason they're interested in this. Okay. There's a bunch of numerology that adds up to 666, 13 pieces. So the 13th is 30 pieces. I don't know how they get that. 12 apostles and Jesus ? So they're referencing Bible things. Okay, Jesus supposedly sold out for 30 pieces of silver. So that's interesting. But I thought this was a gold hunt. Okay, maybe it's both silver and gold. So that needs to be clarified, I think. Are Canadians playing out some sort of ritual or dark agenda? I did think that was interesting. So I thought I'd ask about that. Now, apparently, the person that emailed me about this said that they knew of people that were coming all the way across Canada just to look for it in their own area where they lived, and that people were in frenzied state, really excited about this treasure hunt. And when you think about it, if that's 6 pieces of gold per location, like it's saying, okay, if that's ounces, that's a lot of money. Think about it. It's about $6,000 an ounce Canadian or thereabouts. Okay, so that's a whole lot of coin. If you found 6 pieces, you got 30 grand or something. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. My math's not that good, but you know what I mean? It's a lot. Okay. So that's a lot of money. No wonder people are kind of freaking out and getting really involved in this, but it is suspicious. And who's giving away all of that? I want to know, who's putting this thing on. So let's have a look at, is this a cabal ritual like the person asking the question is putting forward here? Let's have a little look. Oh, that's a unique card. And it was upside down. There's the Cabal. Whoops, I guess my phone went. Okay, that's unfortunate. My phone went off here. Okay, that's weird. Okay, so yeah, so this was in the past. I'll do it old school for the last question. This was in the past. My phone just conked out here. I don't know what's the matter. It has lots of juice, so it's not that. This was in the past. Okay, so that's Cabal. And this are in the now. So past, now, okay, and this is a unique card. So I feel like a group is playing out a Cabal ritual. Okay, that was in the middle, but it's been taken over. So it's a Cabal ritual. So yes, it was a Cabal ritual. And they're wanting to show you, so the White Hat Alliance took over a Cabal ritual. So I guess these kind of treasure hunts and things like this, they've been done to us before, okay? And we've participated in them, okay? And it's showing us firsthand what that looks like. So eventually, I think when we know everything, so the answer to the person's question is, yeah, it's the playing out of a Cabal ritual and showing us how it's done, but it's not in fact literally like it's actually being put on by the White Hat Alliance, but it's emulating or expressing or showing us what a Cabal ritual looks like. So once again, it might even be tied into that quickening and trying to get everybody to wake up to these things. We're participating in rituals all the time without even knowing it. So I feel like that's important information. Okay, thank you so much, everybody, for watching the video. And again, come on over to Tarot by Janine if you're watching this anywhere else. Okay, but that being said, the big story that really got clear to everybody while this was happening, there was a lot of things outed by it. So this is what happens when they push these limits, get everybody looking into something. This is the whole idea, I believe. They got everybody looking into the fact that they're actually spraying, and I looked up how to say this, so I hope I got this right. Glyphosate. Okay, I looked that up how to say it. I think I'm saying it right. But this chemical, okay, so they're calling it a herbicide. Is that what they're calling it? I believe that's what they call it. And people are saying that it has the active agent that is in Roundup. Okay, so Roundup has been banned most of places in the world. Okay, but you can still buy Roundup in Canada in certain places. So it's unbelievable that they know this stuff's toxic and poisonous to the environment and humans, yet they're spraying it apparently, and have been, in Nova Scotia, in Ontario. Okay, like this is saying they're spraying it in Northern Ontario. Oh, and by the way, mostly on Crown land, but also on Indigenous land. So on areas that are Indigenous, in other words, reserve areas. Okay, so I doubt if those Indigenous peoples gave them permission to do that. And if they did, we need to have a chat with those guys. Okay, so it's unbelievable that this could be going on. But because the cards were saying that the whole, you can't go into the forest, you're going to be fined this amount of money. And they are fining people, by the way. It doesn't mean those people will end up paying that, okay, because I believe this will be outed before that. But the fact that they're doing this and that it might be White Hat Alliance, I'm hoping that the story is not true, that they're actually still spraying this. I'm hoping it just wanted us all to go look at it, look into the ingredients, and look into, in your area of the world, do they spray this in your wilderness? Let's watch a little video where the fellow that kind of broke the story, at least for me anyway, he broke the story. He actually, once they locked the wilderness down, he purposely went into the wilderness, told the cops he was going to do it, and got himself a fine just to see if they'd really give it to him. Let's listen to what he has to say.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Jeff Evely here. So I just got off an interview with the Vigilant Fox, and Maria asked me about glyphosate. Now, I have to admit that I'm not very smart on this issue. I just kind of walked into those woods this charter challenge in what appears to be potentially one of the biggest health scandals in Canada's history. So glyphosate is the active ingredient in industrial herbicides like Bayer's Vision Max, which is approved for use here in Nova Scotia. And when Tim Houston was asked specifically, are you still spraying while the forest is so dry? Does that make it more flammable? He said, I don't know if anybody's spraying. And that is a dodge. Now, they have been using this stuff in New Brunswick for quite a while. And the way that they use it is to go in and they clear cut an area, take all the softwood for the pulp industry. Irving has a big pulp industry there in New Brunswick. And they come in and they spray that area after they clear cut so that nothing but that softwood, those conifer trees, can grow back. It leaves a lot of dead foliage on the floor of the forest, so that makes it more flammable. And also the softwood trees, those conifer trees, will burn faster than if there was hardwood and other foliage there. Anybody who's ever thrown a spruce bough on a bonfire knows that, because it'll crackle and it'll throw embers, so it's going to move through that a lot more quickly. Now, the province of New Brunswick did publish a report on this mysterious neurological disorder that is clustered all over the province. There's a Wikipedia page on it that links to all kinds of different medical studies. Now, they have clusters in the northeastern and in the southeastern part of the province. And if you go and you look at where they've been clear cutting in that province, you will find that they do it along the road from Bathurst to Miramichi to Moncton, and then back to Freddy. So basically everything east of that line is where they've been clear cutting, and that's where you see the clusters. Now, I know correlation doesn't prove causation. We have to find the causal factor. We have to investigate it much more deeply than this. But the public health officer who was looking into this in New Brunswick, she got canned. So, like I've been saying, we do have a lot of work to do, it seems, to get to the bottom of what's really going on here in Atlantic Canada. And what I can't say for sure is that the real threat to health and safety in Atlantic Canada is the government itself. All right, that's it for me today, guys. Have yourselves a good day.
How to that, okay? How to that, okay? You bet that it's the real danger is the government. And I believe that all of this is to show us that. Like, that's my deep hope that is true, because otherwise they're actually doing this, and they're going to keep doing it. But to me, the fact that it's even being outed like this, they're way too sneaky. If the deep state government was still in charge, in my opinion, okay, so I'm hoping I'm right about this. If the deep state government was still in charge, this wouldn't be out like it is. And all of these people putting it out there would be silenced. Okay, so that's I'm hoping that's true. So what we're asking is, are they in fact spraying this still? Okay, and just anything we can know about this, and of course look around in your neck of the woods. I know there's a lot of Americans watching. I know there's people from all over the world watching. This could be sprayed anywhere, so look around and see if similar things are happening, if you're experiencing wildfires. Okay, let's have a look. So that's my interesting. That can be a government card, but it can also be, especially when well aspected, this often comes up for White Hat Alliance. So that's kind of the Trump card, I call it. Truth and integrity in the past. I feel like they were spraying it. I feel like they stopped spraying it. Okay, so that was shut down. And they stopped spraying it because it's dangerous to humans, but they're saying so the story's breaking. You guys got to understand, we got 5D chess going on. There's a war going on, in case you haven't been listening to my work, and lots of truthers have been talking about it for years. And there's a spiritual and information war. And I believe that a lot of the governments have capitulated and are being used now by White Hat Alliance, allowed to out these agendas, and are outing themselves for being the scumbags that they've been behaving like, and or outing the WEF plan, for Canada, that sort of thing. And depending on where you're from, all of these different areas in the world, the governments are outing themselves to nth degree. That's my belief. And also doing walks of shame by making themselves really obvious. And that's the last thing the deep state would want, to be known in the light and obvious about these agendas. And the fact that they're becoming so obvious to everybody, a couple of things there. People are waking up en masse, thank goodness. But also, I believe it could be that we're right about White Hat Alliance controlling in the background, but allowing some of these agendas to go forward to some degree, okay? Because we still need a lot of trout slaps on the normies, you know what I'm saying? And I wasn't going to use the word normies anymore, but that one just slipped out. Okay, on the people that haven't awoken yet, okay? So it does look like they've stopped doing it with that card there, and that in fact, this whole story breaking is on purpose. So if you do see a helicopter, what looks like it's spraying, okay, I feel like they probably got something else in there and not this really dangerous stuff. And boy, I hope I'm right about that, because our forests are at stake. Just think about the critters that would have to be living in that toxin, okay? So it would just kill the whole forest. It makes no sense. It has no business in the forest. Okay, we have to learn to let the forest take care of itself, and then we help it along with any way we can, certainly not by spraying toxins into it. Unbelievable. All right. I want to shout out September 2025 Eclipse Season Workshop with Meg. Okay, so save 10% with code ECLIPSE10. And this would be on the Academy website. So you want to go check that out. Meg's like amazing. If you've watched any of her work, you'll know that's true. Also, there's the Fall 4 Soaps Bundle, and that's at the floralinefarm.ca. And there's a 10% off there too, BM10, the code. Awesome. Okay, so my next thing I want to get into is pretty complicated. Okay, you guys will have to follow along here. It's fascinating though, and it was just too fascinating for me not to look at. Okay, so on June 12th, 1968. Okay, which by the way, all those numbers add up to 33. Okay, Rosemary's Baby movie was released, with Roman Polanski as the, what was he? He was the director. Yes, he directed the movie. Okay, and Roman Polanski was a convicted pedophile at that time. He was a known pedophile who had run from the US the night before he was going to be convicted for his crime. So he was already convicted, but he was going to be sentenced. And he found out that his sentence, he thought it was going to get lessened and he would just be on parole. But he was actually, he found out probably because, you know, he's a deep stater and he had back channels that told him, no, this judge can't be bought out and you're going to probably do time for this. So he escaped to Europe, and he's been in Europe ever since, all over Europe, I'm sure. Okay, he's won several awards, even an Academy Award, this guy. And even though he's a known pedophile, and he's been on the run all of that time from the US, from facing time for his crime. So he drugged and raped a 13-year-old that they know of. Okay, that was just what he was caught for. Okay, so a lot of interesting things. We'll get back to Roman Polanski, sorry, saying his name wrong there. We're going to get back to him, and we're going to talk a little bit about the storyline of Rosemary's Baby. Okay, so Rosemary's Baby was a young wife and her husband. The young wife was played by Mia Farrow. Okay, and the wife is pregnant, newly pregnant with her first child, and she becomes agitated early in the pregnancy and believes that basically she's carrying, a demonic child. Okay, and she also becomes suspicious that everybody around her, so there's this whole group of elders around her that came to her through her husband's work, etc. and maybe his family, and that they are plotting, and that they're plotting against her and her baby, but also that they're a cult, so a satanic cult. She comes to understand and believe in her heart that a satanic cult is maybe going to hurt her and her baby. Okay, so she brings her concerns to her husband throughout the movie. Okay, and her husband finally admits that the cult had her impregnated, and he allowed it, okay, by what he calls the spawn of the devil. Okay, and he did this in exchange for being assured that he'd have a successful acting career. Now, what does that sound like? That sounds like the 13 bloodline family. He was probably part of that somehow, or bought into the club, or part of that club. We call it the club, where he's basically sold his soul to the devil, and now is doing the bidding for awards on the earth plane. Okay, that sort of really surface stuff for doing really disgusting demonic things that karmically he'll take thousands and thousands of lifetimes to clear from. But anyway, okay, so that is what the storyline is about. Okay, and then goes on from there, and it's actually quite a horror film. I don't personally recommend watching it, especially if you're of an age where you could get pregnant and have a child, because it's so scary to watch. Okay, but anyway, so let's get back to Roman Polanski. So another thing about him you need to know is he's the husband of, what was her name? The woman that was Sharon Tate. Okay, here's a picture of them. So the husband of Sharon Tate, they must have met abroad. Okay, and or maybe they met before he got convicted. I'm not sure how it worked. You'd have to look into that yourself. But Sharon Tate, and in the United States, she was brutally murdered when she was 8.5 months pregnant, in that, her and 4 other people, in that horrific situation where the Manson family, so remember Charles Manson, who's obviously it's turned out he's MK Ultra'd and MK Ultra'd all of those people that were in his family. So the cult was just MK Ultra'ing gone bad. Okay, and they actually murdered her when she was 8.5 months, or allegedly they did. I mean, I'm saying allegedly because with these kind of things, you never know, was that all a giant psyop? But anyway, never mind. It looks like it was true, that's for sure. And was it a ritual? I mean, it could have been a ritual. So just think about that. His wife is ritually, brutally murdered by what appears to be MK Ultra'd cult. Okay, this guy's in the cult, obviously, or he writes a big, or not, but he didn't actually write Rosemary's Baby, but he actually is the director of a film about a big cult ritual where they literally spawn a demonic child in a human woman. I mean, it's unbelievable. Okay, but here's my actual question. I just wanted you guys to know some background, but my actual question is, let's take it over here. Look at some pictures of the dress Rosemary was wearing in the film. Some of the really brutal parts of the film. So she's wearing this red dress with the white collar. And oh, isn't that interesting that Catherine of William and Catherine, and I'm not going to call them by their, other names, because I don't believe in that kind of royalty. I'm against it, actually. I'm not into it. Nobody's my prince or whatever. I'm not going to call them those names. But Catherine, we all know who she is, actually showed up wearing this dress, holding a newborn baby boy. Okay, and as if, think about it now, as if the royal family, okay, doesn't have people hired just to look into what she wears when she's seen in public. Okay, and I'm saying she in quotation because I've deep dived on her, and she was a boy at birth, by the way. Lots of stuff going on here. Okay, so what is she really showing you? Likely one of those really lifelike dolls, by the way. They've been around for a really long time. They're made in China. look, that like that's a whole other rabbit hole, guys. But so she shows up with that dress that's identical. It looks like it was taken right off the set of Rosemary's Baby. Why on earth would she do that? It caused a big commotion. You know, they got to tell us what they're doing, these people, right? Okay, and these guys are obviously in the cult. I mean, you know, that if you watched any of my stuff I did before I started doing hanging out with the Beyond Mystic team, I was years looking into the royals, and it got ugly. Okay, so these guys are very horrifying. Okay, and definitely in the cult. Is this a calm? So is she? What is she calming here by showing up with her son? Okay, Lewis, her son. Okay, and she got him. Is he the spawn of the devil too? What exactly are they saying here? A lot of people are saying there's going to be that second coming of the Antichrist. Okay, interesting. Believe it or not, a lot of people believe it is William. Okay, so that's fascinating that she shows up with that dress on, showing off her son, Lewis. Okay, that's just scary and horrifying. Let's have a look at what is the calm there. Is it just calming that these people are part of the club? Like, what are they doing there with that? Because it's obviously a calm. They got lots of people, dressers. The royal family would know that dress was from that movie. Okay, they got people paid just to look into stuff like that. So she wouldn't have made that. That's not a mistake. Okay. So the family made her do it. Okay. So that she's totally controlled by the family. She's totally controlled by the family. You bet it was a calm. It's a calm that they're part of the family. They're part of the cult family. It's just saying, yeah, basically, we are all, so they're all spawns of the devil. They're all demonic. Come on, every single one of those people. And even if they were born into it, they don't have a choice. Like I believe Catherine was literally born into it and didn't even find out she was actually a boy at birth till later in life, because they got ways they do that, right? They got ways they do that. They used the blockers that they use now, and like they use things right from the birth of these people. Okay, and they also do, they got their doctors that perform, stuff on them, so they don't even know they used to have an Adam's apple. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just disgusting. And when you go down that deep dive, oh my goodness, you guys, yeah, you can never erase your mind from what you end up knowing. Yeah, it's horrifying. But anyway, you bet we got the deep state and the dark cult cards here, and they were making a family statement that they're part of that. They're making a family statement, and it's some of the things that that's part of what they're supposed to do. They have to calm. They have to show you what they're doing. They absolutely have to do that. Okay, so here we've got the King of Pentacles here. Here's our advice, okay, or something we need to know going forward after hearing this. And it's hard to listen to this stuff, but it's saying here that, you know what, it looks like we've largely been freed from this bunch. Okay, a lot of these senior elders were already, senior royals were already rounded up and are going to face tribunals. And I hope they adjust things for the fact that some of these people were born into it, didn't choose to be like that at all. I believe that. I kind of got a soft spot for some of them that didn't have any choice whatsoever, like Catherine, but then is complicit once she knew. So that part we can't forgive her for. Okay, because she figured it out by just maybe preteen, and then still didn't shout out her family, whereas Diana did shout out that they're demonic and not real humans. So Diana was also in a cult family, and yes, she probably witnessed all kinds of things and did try to shout it out, and look what happened to her. Okay, so I'm going to leave you guys with that, sending everybody ravens and smudging us all with that, okay, because we're going to need a little smudge after this. And again, tarotbyjanine.com. Nowadays, they got so many ways they can doctor things, and it can be so smooth, Okay, so we've got the Page of Cups, Okay, so surprise. It surprised that woman. We've got the moon. That's interesting. Whoa, the moon. Okay, that feels cloaking. That feels like a cloaked energy. No magician so far. We've got the ace. I'd say it's a legit video. We've got an ace of wands up here. Okay, so it's coming from the ace of wands. Oh my goodness, ace of pentacles in the middle too. Two aces. I think that's a legit video, but this card talks about cloaking. When there's cloaking involved, often when I see aliens cloaking, ships cloaking in cards, when we're asking about certain things people are seeing, this card will come up. Okay, so that's interesting. Now we've got the Justice card here. We've got the Empress and the High Priestess. Now, very interesting that none of these look like they have ill will towards the person. So far, I'm not really picking up on ill will towards the person. Okay, and this is interesting. It's like a karmic balancing card. So the near future, karmic balancing justice, or justice is coming. So in the near future, maybe the karmic balance is we finally get to see what these things are. Maybe we finally get to know we're living among entities that can even do things like this. Okay, but this card is what it's bringing. And so far, although I'm going to ask that next, what was it going to do? What were these entities going to do if this person engaged a conversation or even let them in? Okay, so what were they up to? Why did they come to her door? But so far, none of these cards are reading like, so they're certainly secretive and they're not what they appear. So they cloak themselves, maybe hoping to get an audience with the woman. It feels like a karmic balance here, or maybe they even, there could even be where they know this woman. So that's weird. And, it's interesting because when people get visited from otherworldly beings, sometimes it's literally, they're hybrided peoples, and they have some kind of blood in them that goes back to entities from off-world. Apparently, the whole earth was seeded with off-worlders at some point. So those are some of the theories where, the cards have agreed that the whole world was seeded at some point. So that's pretty interesting. Okay, so there wasn't just naturally evolved humans that just sprung up from matter here on earth. We were seated here. This is what the cards have said. Okay, so, and I've asked about it over the years many, many times, but it happened so long ago that now you could say there are these people, that humans that sort of have belonged here for a really, really long time. But then there's these other entities. These ones feel new here because that card's a newness to it, and two aces are a newness. They are physical entities, so they're not just ghost beings, okay, but they've cloaked themselves because maybe they don't think they'll be received. Okay, maybe their looks are different. So that's what we're going to ask next. So far, though, none of the cards look like they have ill intent. Let's ask, what were they going to do? Why did they show up at that woman's place? Like, that's interesting to me. Why did they show up there? Oh, they specifically sought that person out. That person has no idea or recollection, but I feel like these energies, these beings have found her before. I think these are energy beings, but not human, who took a cloaking or used a cloaking to appear human, and maybe thought their outfits to show up at the door. Maybe they changed their mind at the last second and decided to present as missionaries. maybe they don't know, socially what would work best. Maybe they were trying out different looks, but I don't think underneath that, I think they're energy beings who maybe don't really have an avatar exactly like we do. Okay, so from other dimensions or whatever. And here we've got the hermit. So there's certainly, it feels like that woman, and she might not know it, is somehow connected to these beings. So a really old soul, and they could be ancient relatives of hers, ancient otherworldly or other dimensional relatives. Like the woman is, and a lot of us are, like I had visitations from these cat-like energies. They looked like flesh-colored panthers that stand on two legs. Okay, and it turns out there's a whole alien group that looks like that. I had no idea, but I used to describe it, and my parents thought I was nuts, but I was visited nightly by these creatures for some years. So it's like, wow, okay, maybe they were really, really old relatives of mine. And I do love the imagery of panthers, and I collect them. So it's quite interesting. This is fascinating. So they had no ill intent. They were wanting to connect and maybe wake this person up too. So the person at the door is not, on some level, could be aware in a spiritual way, but intellectually shuts down. This card will intellectually be in denial. So swords are intellects and thoughts and words. And most people would be like, you don't sit around thinking maybe I'm connected to an ancient species, that doesn't come from and hasn't been on Earth for very long, or just comes and visits from other galaxies or wherever other dimensions, wherever they come from, right? Okay, so we've got the 10. So it was a long shot, but they thought maybe she'd be ready to hear the truth. So the truth about maybe her origins is what I'm thinking. Okay, so they didn't have any ill intent. They were just trying to make contact, and they're going to try again. Okay, so if that woman's watching this video or ends up finding this video, they're going to try again. Okay, try to use your intuition in the instance. And of course, if weird people are coming to your door late at night and it doesn't make any sense, of course, don't let them in. I'm not telling you not to be safe. Okay, I'm not telling you that at all. But maybe put it out there that if they approach you in a safe way, and maybe even tell them what your expectations are, how you want to be approached, and show you a certain sign, then you'll know it's them. And but they have to assure you that they won't be meaning any harm. Try that. Wow. Okay, that was absolutely fascinating. As soon as I saw that video, I was like, that is interesting. It caught my eye right away. Woo. Yeah, so we're on the last day of our annual midsummer sale. I guess we're at the last day of what you could even call midsummer, really. It's more like end of summer. And there's a 50% off on all the workshops. Anything launched before August, all the courses and workshops on the Academy. So it's an incredible deal. Yeah, you want to check that out. Also, Jens is having his past life group meditation. I believe it's Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern. So if you go have a look on the Academy workshop, it'll tell you the time, just in case I got that wrong, but that's what I think it is. And you can get 10% off there. So it's an awesome deal. It's like, such a reasonable deal. And Jens, if you're going to be studying meditation, I believe he's a really good one to be studying it with. All right, thanks everybody. Now let's look at, so the second thing I want to do here, and I'm going to tell you why I'm doing this again. I'm going to ask the universe for advice, okay? Because I don't know about you guys. Let us know in the comments, but it has been one of the topsy-turviest from Friday. Maybe it even started Thursday till even yesterday late. it was like I was really ungrounded. First of all, I smudged today before we started, and I've been smudging constantly, trying to keep grounded. I had a salt bath as well, really important for me for grounding. Okay, and I'm trying to wear as much grounding jewelry as I can, and I got a nice big tourmaline right in front of me. I'm doing all the things because it was absolutely like I was outside my body for all those days. And it felt like astrological, or just the energies in the world. Something had shifted and was setting everybody off balance and even on edge. I'm hoping it's for good. Okay. And I'm assuming it is, because I'm a positive thinker and I know we're evolving as a peoples. Okay. I really believe that with all my heart. I think we're evolving, and this is an evolution, and this war is part of that. And there's a lot of testing of our wills and strengths going on, and I'm going the long haul on it, and I'm absolutely I signed up for this, and I'm doing it, and I'm doing it with everybody and all of you, but it was hard Thursday till yesterday, and I'm hoping today's different, and I haven't noticed any of that energy today, but I'm really hoping. It was setting people on edge, lots of arguments, even with really close people, really weird things just coming up out of the blue. Of course, it was also full moon was in the middle of all that there, Thursday night, Friday, and Saturday, kind of full moon energies. But on top of it, we had the end of a retrograde ending on Monday, and retrogrades, when they end, can be really, really slippery, and kind of 3 or 4 days after, even, there's that shadow period. So it could have been all of that combined, but I'm telling you, it was like a bad moon rising kind of energy, and very difficult to navigate. And I'm used to difficult to navigate. Being a Scorpio moon, I even thrive in difficult to navigate, but this was worse than usual. So I'm sending everybody ravens out there on just making it through the Thursday till now, because if it was anything like what I was going through there, it was a tough one. And I'm also, saying we're probably the stronger for it. But let's ask the universe, what the heck do we need to know here? Because we're in some really, really, really trying times. And we need support, and we need to stick together, support each other, but also the universe needs to support us. So let's ask the universe, what do we need to know here? Just getting through the rest of the week here to the next Beyond Ravens. Let's ask that. So the next week, let's have a look. And just knowing other people are going through these things. So share your stories in the comments. It's so important that we understand we're not alone, and we're not just doing this all by ourselves. There's a lot. The more I talk about it, the better I feel, to be honest. So for me, it's important. And if you don't have anyone personally in your life to talk about it with, share it in the comments, and start some conversation there, because it'll be helpful, trust me. Okay, so the universe wants to say, yes, it's been absolutely trying. Okay, it's been absolutely trying. And it looks like, and here I hadn't thought of this, but I should have thought of this. It's not necessarily only astrological. We also had some deep state energy, some, powers that be, that the enslavers, whoever's left of them, and I don't think there's that many left, but the ones that are left, they're doing their worst here or I guess their best to still affect us in negative ways. So they're looking for that loosh. It's like they're probably desperate, because their adrenochrome's all drying up, and a lot of people are onto their antics, right? And a lot of their systems have been dismantled or in the process of. So I feel like those players, whoever's left, collectively got together and found ways to affect the energies, maybe using their spell casting and using their effect on nature, etc. Okay, so we've got the temperance. Yeah, things were people were getting too at peace with themselves, so they really needed to ramp up anything they could to get that hit of loose that they need. And if you don't know what we mean by loose, ask in the comments. Somebody will probably give you a great answer on that, or just go look it up in some past videos. Now, see in the middle here, we've got the Page of Cups there. So this is what's happening to the general population. This is us. I feel like it was more directed at the truther community and communities like what this community is. Okay, so we don't all call ourselves truthers, but a lot of us do. So I'm generalizing, but anyone who'd be watching a video like this, so people that are awake and want to know the truth about things. Okay, let's say that. That's who they were directing it at. Other regular folks here that would be not in the know, and we used to call them normies, and we're trying to get out of that habit because we're hoping they're not going to be the norm anymore, right? We're trying to manifest that not being, let's manifest that not being the norm. Okay, so using the word normies keeps them maybe giving them an upper hand. Let's say, people that aren't aware yet, okay, it wasn't even directed at them. So they wouldn't have even noticed this. They were just living life, maybe having some bad days, but nothing like we were having, people. Okay, so here we've got the Seven of Pentacles. I feel like their ability going forward to manifest to the degree is getting less and less, like their ability is lessening. Even like that felt like that was at a height of what they could do. And it's going to go down from there going forward. And that's good news. And I'm glad the universe felt the need to tell us that, because we need to hear that. And here we've got a couple more months here where it's really going to be, we're going to have moments like that again here, but we're really on the peak. I feel like we're on the peak and we're ready to go down the other side of the mountain here in this war. And that's a good thing, right? Because this guy's standing with all new territory in front of him. So I feel like we got just maybe a month and a half, 2 months, and then we start going down the other side of the mountain. It's been a long climb, and message from the universe. Thank you so much, and all my relations to that. Thanks everybody, and sending you all ravens. And don't forget, if you like my work.
Cùng chứ bên ngoài khoác chiếc áo bào là người đàn ông khoảng 30 tuổi, không giống người ứng lệnh triệu tập. Hai người phía trước một cao một thấp, tuổi tác cũng không lớn, nhưng người ta cũng rất tuấn tú. Chàng thiếu niên trắng ngần, mặt đẹp như họa, có tìm cả kinh thành này cũng tìm không ra vài người. Họ cũng là chờ tuyển phò mã sao? Vậy ta còn có cơ hội không? Còn mẹ nó, người có bản lĩnh thì đi thi Trạng Nguyên đi, cùng tranh cướp phò mã với chúng ta. Người cũng thật không biết xấu hổ. Hai vị công chúa cải trang thành đàn ông lập tức trở thành kẻ địch của nhân dân. Mọi người vừa ghen tị vừa hận. Cái lợi giả vờ tao nhã rộng rãi rộng lượng này đều không nhìn thấy. Họ đều là thiếu niên 15-16 tuổi, không có tâm cơ thâm trầm. Lập tức có người không kiềm chế được mà bắt đầu gây chuyện. Ây da, sao lại có người ra như đánh phấn vậy? Bác tự nhẹ, từ nhỏ đã được nuôi dưỡng như cô nương phải không? Người như vậy cũng không biết xấu hổ mà còn thích tuyển phò mã sao? Công chúa có thể chú ý tới cái loại như người chào, mọi người hãy nói xem. Đừng nói như vậy, có lẽ hai vị tiểu ca này vốn là muốn vào chọn tướng công, không cẩn thận mà đi nhầm cửa. Hai người thiếu niên này có sức uy hiếp quá lớn đối với mọi người. Tất cả đối thủ cạnh tranh đều tạm thời đứng về một bên doanh trận, bắt đầu nhất trí đối ngoại. Vĩnh Thuần hứng chí bừng bừng muốn xem trong đám người này tiểu tử nào may mắn như vậy có khả năng trở thành anh rể của nàng. Bỗng nghe thấy một giọng chanh chua, lúc đầu khiến người ta ngẩn người ra, sau đó mới đoán được đối tượng chế nhạo từ ánh mắt cố ý của mọi người là hai tỷ muội của mình. Công chúa Vĩnh Thuần chỉ ngón trỏ vào mặt mình, không dám tin mà nói: Các người nói là ta sao? Ái nam ái nữ, ta là ái nam ái nữ. Hê ha. Tiếng cười chế nhạo bỗng càng căng lên, khiến cho Vĩnh Thuần tức giận. Đôi mắt to tròn của nàng trợn ngược lên, quát: Làm càn, các ngươi thật to gan, dám nói chuyện với bổn công tử như vậy, muốn vào miệng không? Ngươi có 14 tuổi, tiểu huynh đệ, trẻ con chưa rảnh hồi sữa đã tới tuyển phò mã, cọng lông cũng còn chưa đủ dài đã tới rồi sao? Con trai thứ của chủ thợ may Mạch Thị Thành là Mạch Tử Uy nhấn mày nói: Chỉ là một câu tỏ vẻ khinh miệt, nhưng nhị thiếu gia họ Mạch này đã gặp đại họa rồi. Vị này trước mắt là công chúa, hơn nữa còn là một tiểu công chúa Vĩnh Thuần, huyết ra xinh đẹp 13 tuổi, cơ thể vừa mới dậy thì, chỗ đào huynh vừa mới nhướng lên, không biết vì sao lông trỗi dài ra. Hôm trước Vĩnh Thuần mới sợ hãi liền lén hỏi tỷ, bây giờ đối với câu lông còn chưa mọc đủ này thực sự là nhạy cảm tới mức không thể nhạy cảm hơn được nữa. Và mặt Vĩnh Thuần đỏ lên như tiết gà, hai mắt trợn trừng quát tháo: "Ngươi, đồ chó xấu xa, ngươi muốn ăn đòn." Đừng tưởng nàng là một tiểu cô nương, ngày thường ở trong cung đánh cầu đá cầu hoạt bát vô cùng. Tính cách của nàng trong số 3 huynh muội là giống Chu Hậu Chiếu nhất. Còn thường theo tỷ về trong cung luyện tập vài cái cô chân múa tay. Thì về trong cung đều rất thích vị tiểu công chúa này, nhưng nàng chỉ là tranh đùa thôi, đâu chịu vất vả luyện tập chứ. Khó mà được vị tiểu công chúa này nói ngọt, mở miệng một tiếng Trương sư phó, Lý sư phó. Những thị vệ đó liền bắt óc suy nghĩ chút chiêu thuật chuyên môn công kích người khác truyền cho nàng, làm tổn hại tới xương cốt người khác. Xem ra người con gái này ngay từ ban đầu đã có thuật phòng thân rồi. Nàng bước lên phía trước, đưa bàn tay ra, dùng chiêu nhị long đoạt châu. Ngón tay của hai bàn tay xiên thẳng vào mắt của Mạch Nhị Thiếu. Mạch Tiểu Uy sợ hãi giơ tay lên ngăn cản, công chúa Bích Thuần liền đưa nắm quyền rảnh rỗi trái lên, dồn sức mãnh hổ đào tâm vào giữa ngực bụng của đối phương. Khí lực không lớn, nhưng là đánh vào giữa ngực bụng, đó là nơi tập trung kinh mạch thái dương của người luyện võ, lập tức đánh cho Mạch Nhị Thiếu giống như con tôm cuộn tròn dưới đất, tứ chi mềm nhũn không thể dậy nổi. Mạch Tiểu Uy ngã lăn lông hút trên mặt đất. Trong số những người mà sáng nay Tỏ Ninh Hầu đích thân chọn ra, tú tài nghèo hoa kiêu dương trong đám người nhìn thấy như vậy thì vừa sợ vừa giận xông lên phía trước hét lên: "Các người sao lại thô lỗ như vậy? Mạch huynh chỉ đùa thôi mà, sao các người lại động thủ đánh người?" Bàn tay trắng như phấn của công chúa Vĩnh Thuần nhấc lên, Hoa Kiều Dương lập tức trên người, vèo một cái lưu đến bên cạnh Mạch Tử Văn đang hấp hối, ôm lấy y vừa điều mạng lay gọi, vừa ra sức xoa vào trung quyền của y. Vội vàng hỏi: Mạch huynh, huynh không sao chứ?" Nhẹ nhẹ để ta thở. Vị nhân linh họ Mạch bị y lay vừa mới thở được một chút lại bị hụt hơi, thở không thông. Hoa Kiều Dương lập tức hô: "Người đâu? Mau thông báo cho người nhà Mạch công tử đón huynh ấy về, mau chóng chạy chữa đi." "Không, ta..." Mà nhị thiếu gia kháng nghị không có hiệu quả, bị rất nhiều vị hảo huynh đệ nhiệt tình nâng dậy đi. Muốn lại mục của Ngũ Thành binh mã thì mau chóng thông báo cho người nhà để y mang người đi. Những người đã qua cửa gặp mặt lát nữa phải chính tay viết tên họ, quê quán, nơi ở, đợi quan phủ đi điều tra xác nhận có bịa đặt thân phận, giả mạo người khác, ra thế có trong sạch không. Giờ tên họ Mạch kia bị bắt đi rồi thì họ bớt đi một đối thủ. Lại mục của Ngũ Thành binh mã ti dẫn ra đám người Kiến Xương Hầu vào. Địa vị của Ngũ Thành binh mã ti ở kinh sư không khác gì cảnh sai. Gã không dám đắc tội Kiến Xương Hầu, lại sợ những người này muốn gã bắt giữ hung thủ. Đang lúc nhân cơ hội trốn mất, vội tỏ vẻ mạng người không liên quan gì đến mình, gọi mấy sai dịch bắt lấy Mạch Tiểu Uy đang không ngừng la hét dãy giụa kia, lôi ra ngoài. Hoa Kiều Dương thấy một người đã bị bắt đi, dưng đắc ý lùi vào trong đám người, vung tay lên hô lớn: "Vì công tử này phẩm chất quá kém cỏi, một câu không hợp liền ta đánh nhau, có tư cách gì ứng tuyển phò mã chứ? Chúng ta kháng nghị, chúng ta mạnh mẽ yêu cầu hủy bỏ tư cách tham gia của người này." Đám người ứng tuyển chủ chốt liền vội hòa nhịp, nhất thời nắm tay san sát nhau, khí thế ngất trời. Công chúa Bích Thuần thấy khí thế này lại bị chọc cười, nàng bình thản không sợ, chắp tay đứng đó, nhìn trái ngó phải, ước gì có người bước lên ra tay. Chỉ đáng tiếc những người này tuy là hết rộng ràng nhưng lại chỉ đứng lý luận tại chỗ, không có ai động thủ cả. Vị Lâm Lạc Gia xuất hiện kinh người kia là người duy nhất biết võ trong đám người này. Đứa nhà thành thật kia không có tâm kế nhiều như đám người này, vừa rồi đã bị bọn họ âm thầm công khai đả kích châm biếm một phen, khiến y xấu hổ vô cùng. Tự cảm thấy căn bản không có tư cách ứng tuyển phò mã, cho nên đã có lòng buông tha việc này, nên đương nhiên sẽ không đi theo bọn họ đánh nhau. Trương Diên Linh thấy tình hình hỗn loạn như vậy, có chút hối hận không nên dung túng hai tỷ muội nàng trà trộn vào trong Tri Vương phủ. Lúc ở trong cung nghe nói hai đứa cháu gái của ngoại muốn đến phủ của mình chơi, Trương Duyên Linh rất vui mừng. Kết quả vừa rời khỏi hoàng cung, Vĩnh Thuần liền hò hét muốn đến Trư Vương phủ. Lúc này Trương Duyên Linh mới biết đã mắc mưu. Có điều mục đích của ông ta chỉ là muốn kéo gần quan hệ với hai vị công chúa này. Chỉ cần các nàng vui vẻ thì được rồi. Còn chuyện có đến hầu phủ hay không thì cũng không sao cả, cho nên để dẫn hai vị công chúa đến đây. Tuy rằng xưa nay Trương Duyên Linh cũng trẻ nét đáng điểm, nhưng những người trước mắt chẳng qua chỉ là một đám trẻ trai trai miệng còn hôi sữa, cho nên đương nhiên ông ta sẽ không so đo với những người này. Trương Duyên Linh đang muốn bảo công chúa Vĩnh Tuần bớt giận, thì Lưu Đại Bổng Truy ưỡn bụng đi vào hậu đường, lúc thấy những người này đang ồn ào la hét, lập tức quát lớn một tiếng: là cái gì hả? Các người đến triệu phò mã hay là con nít đến tập làm người lớn hả? Đã hướng tuyệt phò mã lập tức bị vị thúc rôm rộm này làm cho kinh hãi, nhưng nắm tay trên không trung từ từ bò xuống. Lữ Đại Bổng Truy y phong bát diện chừng bọn họ, đưa tay ra chỉ nói: đi. Qua đó đăng ký, có thể kể chi tiết tên họ, quê quán, sinh thần bát tự, nơi ở, gia đình bao nhiêu thì kể chi tiết bấy nhiêu. Viết xong thì cút, đợi đến khi Lý Chính Bảo Giáp thông báo tham gia thi tuyển đợt 2. Còn không nhanh lên, còn ở đây đợi ăn cơm chiều luôn sao? Quốc công gia hôm nay không có thời gian rỗi mà trả lời các người. Nói cho các người biết, hôm nay là ngày đại hỷ của quốc công gia chúng ta. Làm trễ giờ ngáy và động phòng, nếu tập cho quan phủ tuyển không vui. Những lời này có hiệu quả hơn so với bất cứ thứ gì. Mọi người lập tức như ong vỡ tổ mà nhào về phía chỗ ghi danh, nhấc bút mài mực, bắt đầu ghi lại lý lịch của mình. Lưu Đại Bổng Truy chuyển mắt nhìn hai tỷ muội công chúa Vĩnh Phúc, không khỏi ngạc nhiên mà cười nói: này, hai vị tiểu ca, các vị đến để dự tuyển sao? Nhân phẩm tướng mạo này có chút khí chất của phò mã ra, còn không mau đi đăng ký đi. Cơn giận còn sót lại của công chúa Vĩnh Thuần vẫn chưa tắt, nhưng công chúa Vĩnh Phúc lại cười nhẹ một tiếng, chắp tay nói: đã tạ quan sai đại nhân, hai vị để chúng ta đến để tìm người chức vụ ứng tuyển phò mã. Ngài là thủ hạ của Uy Quốc công gia Dương đại nhân. Đúng vậy, ta vốn là binh lính trong kinh doanh, sau đó thì đi theo Dương đại nhân Dương công gia. Các vị không ứng tuyển phò mã sao? Không tốt. Nếu được tuyển làm phò mã, vậy thì chính là trà đạp các vị rồi. Lữ Đại Bổng Truy cười híp mắt nói. Công chúa Vĩnh Phúc vừa nghe thì trong lòng có chút không vui, đôi mắt đẹp khẽ liếc đã một cái nói: làm phò mã lấy đương kim ngựa muội, là một hoàng thân quốc thích thì có gì không tốt chứ? Nếu là Uy Quốc công gia nói thì có thể lượng thứ được. Nàng thực sự có chút không vui.